Welcome back to another episode of Maybe One Day. My name is LJ Jones, and this is the episode I'm most excited for. Out of all the ones we've done, all the ones I have lined up, this is the one I've been most excited for. Today, I have actor, singer, carpenter. He wears every hat. My buddy, Chris Brochu. What's up, man?
Good to see you. It's been almost, how many years now?
Almost 20. I think 18 years.
That's wild.
2006 was the last time I saw you.
That's so crazy.
That's insane. And
time flies, man.
So what's our age difference? I'm 28.
And I will be 35 this month.
I was 11 last time I saw you, which were you 17?
18, 18, yeah.
That's insane.
I know.
We started this journey together, our very first acting class. Mm-hmm. So I think Doug had already been coaching, right?
Yeah, so my brother and sister at the time were the ones that were pursuing acting, and then I was just doing hockey at the time, and I would drop them off at class and go to hockey practice and then pick them up after. And I remember my first time ever kind of jumping into class was hockey was canceled at one point. I was just sitting in the lobby, and they're like, "Oh, just come and hang out." And it was an improv class, and I made some joke, and people laughed, and I was like, "This could be fun. This could be fun."
Change your life forever.
Yeah, man. And it kind of feels like I've just kind of ridden the wave. I was an Army brat growing up, so I was used to kind of going with the flow and seeing where the road took me. And I've kind of followed that same feeling in this industry until like my early 20s, and then I realized, okay, I'm here, and I want to do it to the best of my ability.
Right. How long were you in Florida when you had started the class? Because you're from Tennessee originally.
Yeah, I was born in Tennessee, and then North Carolina was my childhood. Florida was basically my teenage years. Yeah. And then 17 onward was California. So it had to have been like 3 or 4 years in Florida. I think I was like just turned a teenager.
Okay.
Like 13. So I was in Florida for a little bit. And
so
then,
when we were in class together, what was that like for you? Just like kind of starting out and learning, because like you said, you did the improv class, and you're like, okay, this could be fun. Yeah. So like as you decided to keep, to taking these classes and keep learning and growing, what was it that kind of kept you going?
I think at the beginning, it's the play of it. Yeah. Really, because I think I've kept my kind of inner child pretty happy. Yeah. Right. And I enjoy that. I enjoy having a safe space that we're all agreeing that we're gonna have some fun. Mm-hmm. We're gonna try and do it to the best of our ability. Right. And that kind of exploration and playfulness I really enjoyed. And there's really no substitute for being on set and having that collaborative environment. Like I'm an Army brat. Like I said, like I'm a team player. I love that. I love talking about the scene with the actors, with the directors, the writers, and like trying to figure out if what I'm feeling is like the pulse, right? So that I love that collaborative environment.
That was always my favorite part too. I remember, I think you did it as well, the soap and sitcom class. For I think it was like 2 months worth of the class. So the first 4 weeks was strictly soap opera training.
Interesting.
And
that's so funny.
Yeah, and then the other 4 were sitcom. Yeah. And I think Steve was our coach, and kind of bringing in scenes from Days of Our Lives or Friends. And I remember, for me, to this day, I kind of tend to play the straight man. Yeah. But Steve wanted to challenge me, and he gave me a scene from Friends, and he's like, "All right, you're playing Joey." I'm like, "Oh, I don't know if I can play Joey." He's like, "You got it." And so that's like the playfulness of like, such a, I guess, innocent character, kind of dim-witted, and like just playing in that kind of genre, and then working with the other actors that were in the class is always that collaborative thing has always been so important to me, and it's been the best part of creating my own films. Especially when it comes down to like casting my own films, it's like, all right, who do I want to work with? Who do I want? Who can I spend 12 hours a day with? You know what I mean? And that's been science to it, really.
Yeah, of course. Depending on obviously who you are, but you're going to gravitate toward people that you want to work with, that aren't going to like be dragging you down, that are actually going to show up and like put in the effort necessary to make this thing happen. Because realistically, when you're doing stuff on your own, like most of the stuff that I do on my own is music videos and music and demos and stuff like that, because I have control over it. Right. But yeah, it's you want to work with people that want to work with you, and that you enjoy working with.
Yeah.
And that, that's that kind of keeping that crew tight when you come up and you help each other out. And that's, and everybody goes along their merry creative way.
Yeah. I always think about early on when we were doing auditions, we were going in the room, and that's almost non-existent now unless it's several callbacks in.
That's right.
And when I'm casting my own projects and I'm getting the self-tapes in, and they're struggling through the lines, I was like, well, there's no reason for that when it comes to self-tapes. Like if we're in the room and you stumble, and a lot of times casting directors will be like, all right, take a breath, let's do it again.
That's right.
But when you're doing when you're self-taping, like you can make it perfect.
Infinite takes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's, it's a blessing and a curse to self-tapes, because I kind of hate it, because I like to be with other people. And you can really play off somebody, and so I do miss that.
I do as well. I miss that aspect of it, but I also very much love the digital age we are living in that sense, where I don't have to be in LA to go and do an audition. To your point, we could send in a couple self-tapes for the last 3 things I booked were just self-tapes to like a director session on Zoom. Easy.
There's a couple pilots that I was up for, and that's exactly how it was too. There was no in person. It was just kind of like a final callback just through Zoom.
Yep.
That's all it was.
And that's fine by me, man, because I got my whole office set up now that I can jump in there, do a self tape, and be done with it. And I got some actors that I work with in house as well that are really great. And so
let's jump back to the beginning.
Okay.
So when you're transitioning from Florida to LA, was that originally, if I remember correctly, there was no return date in mind, but it was kind of, you were going to pilot season, right? And then if things worked out,
exactly,
you'd stay. If not, maybe you'd come back.
Yeah,
things worked out.
Yeah, man, things worked out. It was so the original thought was we literally had a cookie jar, and we would do these kind of Disney commercials and stuff for the parks, and so we'd make little checks here and there, and we throw all this money into this cookie jar, and then it got to a point where we had accrued enough money to rent this small house in Reseda, California for 3 months. And so, okay, we have that. And so we planned to, again, I'm kind of like maybe it was like naive or something, but I'm just about the adventure. Like I'm about whatever that next move is. And we went out there for 3 months, and we ended up getting, I think Doug got a couple commercials. I got a commercial, and that 3 months turned into 6 months. And then that 6 months turned into a year. And then Doug ended up getting on a show. I ended up getting this pretty good, like Guitar Hero commercial that my manager really helped me get paid on that. And I remember just calling my dad and being like, we got some money. Yeah. So just like pack up, come out here and we'll figure it out.
Right.
And he did. He was still working a military contract job in Florida, and he ended up selling everything, packing up the house, coming out to California. And then within a week, he had a contract job out there. And it's little moments like that assure me that I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
When it moves in that way, where it feels like it's almost like effortless to take that kind of leap of faith, I've just been following that.
Yeah. And you have to. I mean, I think there's a lot of times, I know I felt it in my life, and kind of the reason I'm doing the show is to inspire others who might be, contemplating giving up or anything like that.
Yeah.
So along the ways for you, when as things are happening, and there's always dead times too.
Of course.
How have you kept yourself going in those moments, especially when you were young?
Yeah. 17 to or maybe even like 1920 to like 25 was kind of I was making a decent amount of money. And yeah, it's feast and famine in this industry. The way I perceive it is I wanted to stay in my lane. And so I'm an actor. That's a trade that's never going to go away.
Right.
I can teach acting to anybody that wants to begin, anybody that's working on self-tapes or coachings, like anybody that has less experience than me, I'm more than happy. I wanted my energy when it wasn't going toward acting to be going through my other creative sources as well. So it'd be music when I have the time, money, TV teaching, and then another trade, which is carpentry.
Yeah.
And where I live, there's no lack of jobs in that way. And all of my friends as well need help in that way. So I just started acquiring different trades that gave me the flexibility to do the things that I love.
Yeah.
And so acting, I can drop construction. My boss allows me to just go off and do what I need to do and then come back and jump back in.
Yeah.
And so coaching, same thing. I create my own hours. I have clients that I'm working with this weekend that hit me up. And if I have the moment in the spare time, we make it happen. Yeah. And I try and keep it fluid like that so that there's not too much
downtime to worry.
Downtime. And also like, I can't be inside. I can't do office jobs. I've done stuff like that. I've done retail. I've had a job since I was 14 years old, man. I'm not like, I've been doing this. So I know what I'm good at and what I enjoy doing. Yeah. And I know what can make me more money, but I would hate it. I would hate it.
And that's what some people think I'm crazy. Cause like I told you what I do. I work at a school. I don't make a ton of money, but I enjoy what I do. I never know what I'm expecting, I never know what I'm walking into, and people are like, you can make so much more money doing X, Y, and Z. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, but I'm prioritizing mental health.
That's right.
I can't. I'd be miserable.
And there's meaning, man. Yeah. Like the minute you can like show up for some, like there's a this like came to me. I don't know if it's recycled in some way, shape, or form, but this feeling of and obviously it's a job. So there's I don't know, take it for what it is. To be of selfless service to someone in need is one of the greatest potential, one of the greatest manifestations of human potential.
Yeah.
And so, when you're talking to me about helping these kids in junior high or elementary school, I mean, I think it's admirable. And I also think it's necessary.
Yeah.
Because I felt the same way. I was like, I don't know what else I would do, but teaching, I really do enjoy teaching. Yeah. It just so happens that, okay, I can teach acting.
Yeah.
And I enjoy helping these kids answer their questions, right? So I'll ask them questions, or you can ask them questions in a mindful way that makes them like go down this kind of path in their mind that they can figure it out for themselves. Like let them stumble upon that truth, whatever it is that you're trying to whatever direction you're trying to like point them into.
Right. I know you work with different age groups, so you can reflect back on your time as a kid in acting class. Yeah. But I know for me, when I was a kid, acting, whether it was classes or auditions or just breaking down scenes or whatever the case is, it was therapy. It was very therapeutic. I was learning a lot about life, learning a lot about myself.
That's right.
And that's helped me become who I am today. It's like it's really shaped me.
Well, and like to be a good actor, you have to tap into your empathy.
Right. You
have to care about the character and therefore also yourself and other humans. It's this whole, listen, it can be filled with a bunch of egotistical people, but realistically, that's where the art form works the best, in my opinion. What a little journey.
That's it.
What a little journey we've been on.
I know it's exhausting at times, but so rewarding when it works. And even in those moments, like just like the moments where I'm at home and I'm alone and I just open up my laptop to a blank page and I just start creating myself. Like that's kind of like, if I'm not on a set, that's the moment I just feel like I'm at peace. Everything else kind of is gone, and it's just me and whatever world I'm building. And that, and I heard a podcast. It was Hollywood Reporter's Awards Chatter with Leslie Odom Jr. And this was kind of the moment that things changed for me as an actor. I was kind of in a rut with it, and I was still doing it, but kind of just dealing with just kind of bored.
Yeah, it's hard to push forward when nothing seemingly happened.
Yeah, but then I heard Leslie Odom Jr. talk about the time he was in a similar situation, and he was talking to his mentor, and his mentor's like, "Have you done the work?" And he's like,
"That's right.
Yeah. What do you mean? I've taken the classes. I just did the best TV show of my life, and it didn't work. I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing." He's like, "Are you though?" Like, what are you doing right now? So I'm just sitting at home. So you're waiting for the phone to ring. Mm-hmm. Don't wait for the phone to ring. Write something, call somebody, make a connection, go meet somebody. And that was the moment I ended up, I heard that, and almost immediately, as soon as the episode was done playing in my AirPods, I sat down, I wrote my first script.
Awesome.
And within 6 months, it was ambitious, but I wrote a feature, and we shot it. We shot it. Justin, that was the filmmaker behind it, and we shot it in 8 days. Shot a feature in 8 days, 3-man crew, nice. $500 budget. Oh yeah. And then I remember when we did like a family and friends screening of it. Nobody knew what the budget was except for Justin and myself. Yeah. And people are like, how'd you get the money for that? I was like, how much money do you think it cost? Yeah. Some people said, oh, it was easily like a $1 million budget or $500,000 budget. I was like, we might be onto something. We might know a thing or two, and we might be able to make something work. And that's kind of been very inspirational to me. And since then, I've done a couple shorts, and now I'm still just writing and trying to create. But let's go back to you when things started really working for you. I remember because I was, I don't know, probably 12 or 13 at the time when you booked Hannah Montana, and I was like, oh, this dude made it.
I know. I felt pretty good about it too. I was like, I got a line on Hannah Montana. I know. Wow, this is sweet. I know. That was the beginning of my like co-star era.
I remember though, we were sitting, because I was still taking classes where we were taking classes, and just like walking in every weekend, and they'll be like, you hear what Chris is doing? No, tell me. They're like, oh, he's up for the show, and I don't know if you mind talking about things you might have been up for and lost out on. Yeah. But I remember we're sitting in class, and we're talking about how you're the for Corey in the House.
Oh yeah,
it was you and Jason Dolly.
Yeah.
And that's true. He was great in it, but I could definitely see you absolutely killing that.
That was a pretty like a hectic time, because it was definitely my first time like getting really close on something really big. Mm-hmm. And the guidance that I had wasn't the best at the time.
Sure.
I essentially like over prepared.
Yeah.
And it just didn't. It wasn't working. And casting said some things to me at the moment where I was like, oh man, this is not going well. But you get older, and those things start to matter less.
Sure.
Because the only thing we have control over is the work. Mm. Do the work.
Yep.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
And I can sleep good at night, or I can leave that audition or callback or screen test with my head held high, because I know I put in the work. Yep. I know I did my best, and then I'm going to leave it alone.
There's so many different things that are at hand, things we don't know about.
Man. There's you can't possibly control all of those factors. Yeah. And so don't. It's like that. I heard on I think it was like an Instagram clip or something, but if you're feeling stressed about something, write all the things down, cross off the things that you can't handle or have control over, and do the other things. Right. And it's the same thing with the production.
I think we're going back and forth on different things we've heard, and has inspired us. But for sure, you just made me think of I forget what it was on, maybe the Actors Studio, but Bryan Cranston was talking about auditioning. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen that, but he was just like, your job isn't to book.
That's right.
Your job's to do the audition. You got an audition, that's your job. Mm-hmm. Go in and do the audition. That's right. Do it to the best of your ability. Yep. Walk out without any expectations, because you're not there trying to get a job. You have a job, and that's to audition. Mm-hmm. So do it to the best of your ability, and then forget about it.
Yep.
Leave it
alone. It's a great perspective. That's the thing I would add on to that is, I think of it very much like a painting. They're like, this is the character. You're like, okay, this is how I see the character.
Yeah.
This is my painting. Here you go. Keep that with you. Mm. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't.
Yeah.
But I always tell my students and anybody that you're not auditioning for that movie. Mm. You're auditioning for every single movie.
Yeah.
That casting director, that director, that producer does. And to your point, go in there and kill the audition. Like, do the work, do it.
Yeah.
But also like put the weight behind it of there's 20 other projects that are going to be coming down the path, and put in the work so that, maybe they remember, this flavor wasn't good for this character, but that one could actually work.
And that's happened to me so many times.
Yeah, man.
So many times they're like, hey, we loved when you auditioned for this. We want to bring you in for this.
Yep.
And sometimes it's even within the same project.
Yep.
Like I was up for a film shooting in Miami right now, and I auditioned for a smaller role, and they're like, we want to see you for one of the like co-leads. And it didn't pan out, unfortunately, but that's more confirmation that
that's right.
You're doing something right.
That's right.
Recently, I sat down with my son, my oldest son, he's 8 years old, and we watched Lemonade Mouth. and I had pointed out to him that I knew you, and when the movie was done, he was like, friends are not very nice.
Yeah.
I was like, no, not in that at all.
He was not nice in that movie at all. No.
But what was the song you sang?
Don't You Wish You Were Us was one of them, and the crowd goes.
Yeah, so Don't You Wish You Were Us.
Yeah.
When that song was on, Ian was like very full of himself. I was like,
you got a good kid.
Yeah, man.
Nice. That's awesome.
But no, he absolutely loved it. And I think, because I grew up as a decomp kid, and all the Brink and Megapixels and all the Pixel Perfect and all those movies. I think Lemonade Mouth maybe doesn't get spoken on enough. It was one of the best, I think, that's been done.
I think, and this could be wrong, I remember when it was happening, them saying this is the biggest TV movie they've ever had.
Well, you had Tisha Campbell. You had what's his name from Happy Gilmore,
playing the principal. Yeah, I'm blanking as well.
I forget his name, but he was going around on the thing. So funny. Yeah, the segue. But that movie, every time I watch it, even just watching it the other day with my kid, I was just like just kind of brings joy. Yeah, it's a good feeling.
It's a good, it is a Disney Channel movie, and there's people can feel ways about that. However, I love that movie. I'm so happy to have been a part of that. Soul Surfer as well as a family movie that I love. Great. I'm very happy to be a part of that. The kind of like family movies that I got to do I really love them. I love them from the moment that I read the script to the people that I got to work with.
And they get to live on.
Yeah. And I don't have to feel it, because I'll see some people kind of feeling a ways about past projects and stuff like that. But I'm very grateful for all of my past projects. Even you can go back to when I was 17 years old. I think my first ever movie was called Pose Down, and it was about these like bodybuilders, and I played them when I was like the past version of them, the younger version, and even that silly.
Where can I find this?
I think it's actually on YouTube.
Is it?
I think it's actually on YouTube. Oh man, that's not good. That's not good to be out there.
You just told the whole audience together. The first film for you I remember seeing, I don't know how early on it was. You were young, but Solar Flare.
Yeah.
Solar Flare. And I shouldn't say, I think I illegally downloaded it because I couldn't buy it anywhere. Yeah. I was like, I got to support. And that was, I was a kid when I saw it, and it felt so big. It felt great. I
know. I saw a scene from it the other day, and I was watching younger me, like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, you're actually doing it, man.
Yeah.
You're doing your character. You're taking these notes. You're in this environment, and you're actually doing it. Okay, good for you, younger Chris. Good for you, man.
No, you had the little era of really great indies. Like I loved Solar Flare, and Doom Patrol,
Dawn Patrol, with Scott Eastwood. And Rick Dugdale was a producer on that, and I've worked with him, and will continue to work with him. We've got some projects in the lineup, so we'll see which one kind of pops next.
How important has community and connections that you've made along the way been? Either to help your career further it along, or just personally, on a personal level?
I think both of the. I'm trying to think. My buddy Rick, who I've done 3 movies with, he's always been a champion of mine. So I'm gonna zoom out a little bit, where my priority is personal connection.
Of course, it should be.
And then if something happens, great.
Yeah. So
I tend to go in on sets, and I'm very I stay in my lane. I'm very personable to everybody. I want to see how your day was, but I need you to know that I'm here to work and I don't need nothing from you.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
If we want to like hang out and get a burger or beer after, then sweet. But I don't want you to feel like I need anything from you.
Sure.
And so the majority of the time when I gravitate toward people or if they gravitate toward me, is because we actually have a connection in some way, shape, or form of like the books that we're reading or like different thoughts or conversations that we've had. But through that type of intention, that type of connection of intention, I feel people bring me in when they think it's right.
Yeah.
And
but back to what you just said about you being personable. I was having a conversation with my parents the other day, and I told them I was coming up and we're going to shoot this. I was going to hang out with you for a little bit. And they said, they were super excited, but they said, let me tell you something about Chris. Okay. What? Like when you were a kid and we were taking classes together, so they said a lot of the teens in that class treated you pretty poorly, but Chris and Doug never did. They told me a story. I don't really remember it, but it was, the break in the day and we had gone to Panera like we normally did. And we were sitting there eating and I had a Asiago bagel and a cookie and you and Doug walked in. We were kind of sitting on the other side of the restaurant from the main door and you guys noticed us.
Yeah.
You didn't have to walk over. But both of you guys walked over, gave me a hug. I just saw you 20 minutes ago, but greeted me and were super excited about my bagel and cookie. And just, they said that you guys were always just super, super personable, super friendly. And they always really appreciated the both of you for that. Whereas some of the other teens in the class were pretty horrible.
Well, it's good to hear. That was definitely in my, I guess, jerk era of my life. When I reflect back to it, I cringe in my young kind of teenage, early 20 years,
Sure.
But
We all do.
It's very, I think that's kind of part of it. You have to like, bump into the barriers and cross lines to understand like, the gravity of your actions.
Right.
And then you refine yourself over time, hopefully. But it's very sweet. That's it's very nice of them to say.
Yeah.
And my parents were always very, like I said, my dad was in the Army, so there was that rigidity there. Mm-hmm. We grew up in church. I'm not religious anymore, but I think all of these kind of guidelines or boundaries are good. It's good to have a healthy respect for those boundaries and also test them as well, whether it be personal or religion or things of that nature. But my parents were always, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, and very respectful in that way. So I'm grateful to them for that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in Atlanta right now. You're here. Yeah. You're here to do a con, mm-hmm. and it's for the Vampire Diaries, mm-hmm. which was massive. Yeah, was massive, still is massive. Yeah. I remember my buddy. I was telling Justin this. My buddy Ryan. We were in. I don't know. I think when you got cast, I was in 10th grade, 11th grade maybe, and Ryan was obsessed with Vampire Diaries. He was like, he lived it, like he was always watching it, and we always used to kind of give him a hard time for watching it. And then the news broke that you got cast. I was like, oh, damn it.
Guess I gotta watch.
It's like, and that's like you were season 5. You first came
5
in?
and 6. Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, I can't just jump in at 5. I got to know what's going on, or it's not going to make sense.
Same.
And then I started watching it. And I was like, oh, it's so good. It's so good. What was that whole journey like? How did that? I mean, it's normal audition, but what was that process like?
Yeah, I mean, I just remember getting an audition for a one time, and they're like, okay. And if the show's out, if I get an audition. If the show's out, I'm watching a couple episodes. I want to know what the tone is. Yep. I want to know kind of how they shoot the thing. And I remember watching it and being like, you can definitely book a part in this role. Right. I mean, in this series. Mm. And so I did that. First audition, didn't book it. Okay, fine.
Different character.
Different character. Okay. Don't even remember that. It most certainly, that character definitely came and went. Mm. This character, I remember auditioning for it, and then it was my last audition of the year. Everything was about to shut down for the holidays. And again, I remembered, did it, prepared, did everything, did the audition. And it's so funny. I feel like the ones I end up booking are the ones that I'm like, I think I could have done, like I debated on going back up there and being like, can I do this one more time? And then I called my manager. She's like, don't do that, Chris. I said, okay, but I won't. That part was meant for me.
Yeah.
And it's those moments, and I'll even briefly take you through it because I have a video that's out there about this, but that was December. I don't think I heard till like January or February that I booked it. And it was a reoccurring guest star or a guest star, one episode, possibly reoccurring. Okay, cool. I had a mole removed on my back. The week they called me, they're like, hey, it's cancerous. We need to do surgeries, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. Shh. Don't have insurance, don't have money, don't have anything. Looking at like $250,000 worth of just like debt that I'm looking at. Same week I book that. I get SAG health insurance. I'm taken care of.
Right.
I'm dialed in.
Yeah.
Okay. I land. I find out that the cancer has gone, or the cancer is deep enough that they need to do another surgery. They cut the margins on my back. They had to go into my armpit. They got my sentinel node. But literally, I land to go shoot. They tell me, okay, you need to go do more you got to do another surgery.
Right.
Okay, great. So then I fly back. And in between, I didn't tell anybody. The only person I think that knew about this was wardrobe, because after my surgery, I had a tube in my armpit that was getting the lymphatic fluid. But again, the universe, God, energy, source, whatever the heck you want to call it,
right.
The hardest time of my life coexists with one of the greatest times of my life. Mm-hmm. And that type of irony is not missed on me. And like to be able to like go shoot an episode, come back for 2 weeks, do a surgery, heal up for 2 weeks to the best of my ability, go continue to shoot. Again, when I see these puzzle pieces just matching with each other, okay, let's do it.
How mentally taxing was that at the time when you're dealing with your health issues? And
it was tough.
And you trying to work, like, it's got to be really difficult. But thinking about the Vampire Diaries and how it's shot and some of the action sequences you might have had, you had a tube in your arm. How did that come into play? You ever get?
Yeah, I essentially told the people that I was in a surfing accident. The fin hit my back.
Okay.
Try not to mess with my arm too much. That would be great. But yeah, literally the next episode, like I get choked out. But yeah, everybody was really cool about it. And I didn't want a bunch of things. I didn't want it to define anything on set. I also wanted the job still. Yeah. And I didn't want anybody to, be like, you need to go deal with this. So I just kept it quiet. But the biggest thing was the mental aspect of it, because you get punched in the face with your own mortality, and you really have to like figure out, okay, am I living this life the way I want to do it? At that moment, like I had so many songs that I was sitting on. I was like, dude, I have to record these or they won't be here when I'm gone.
Right.
And so it put a fire under me, man. I like did an EP. I recorded some music videos. I started eating better. I started being more mindful. I started like taking out the trash out of my diet. And just, again, I think with those types of moments, I can zoom out for a little bit and be like, this is the time for this.
Yeah.
Like time to get mindful, time to like figure out like what's helping and what is hindering.
Right.
I think the gut punch by life of just like mortality was taxing, and thinking that maybe I won't be able to move or work the same was hard, but it was great. I have a song called Home that there's a lot of lyrics that have to deal with that time, and I essentially did my surgery. I couldn't work out, so I would walk barefoot all through this neighborhood that I lived in, reading books. And that's what I would do. That would be my like exercise. I'd walk for miles and just read and try and like contemplate. I read like Einstein, some of Einstein's books, and a bunch of like kind of like theoretical physics, and just I was like I wanted to solve the universe. Like that's what I really wanted to do.
You're much smarter than me, because if I open those books, I'd be like, this is gibberish.
Well, to be fair, the Einstein books, there was one called Einstein's Dreams, it's like literally like this big, which is really cool. But it kind of like brings you through some of his concepts and different metaphors and like settings to try and wrap your mind around concepts.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like probably a lot of it went over my head, but at that time, that's what I was really like hungering for.
Yeah.
And it was a tough time, but it was.
But the flip side of that is, you're so many years, however many years, removed from it.
Yeah.
And you're here.
Yeah.
And you're here with the cast, and you're able to reflect, and that must be kind of beautiful to be able to do now.
I love it. Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. I can look at all of the kind of speed bumps in life.
Sure.
And if you're the spider on the web currently making it, you can kind of like look back at the most recent like trail of webbing, but to be able to zoom out and be like, oh yeah, no, that all needed to occur so that all of this could occur.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so with that type of perspective as well, that's why I personally don't worry about acting or when the next role is going to come. I'm going to keep myself busy creatively and get in nature as much as I can, because I can look back and be like, no, I didn't get that because I needed to get that. God, thank you, I got that. And so I don't know. I don't believe in lack of that way.
Right. Yeah. Everything happens for a reason. And that's, I feel like so many people really, when they're in the midst of whatever their trial and tribulation is, a lot of people are asking, why is this happening to me? But I always try, just like you said, like I try to focus on the big picture. Whatever is in front of me, I'm going to deal with it now, and not worry about the why. Because the why, it doesn't matter. You can't change it. You just have to get through it and realize that one day you're going to look back at it and be grateful that you hopefully be grateful that you went through that, because it helped you. Maybe other opportunities presented itself. Maybe you just grew as a person, and that's enough for me. Like I every day I wake up and just try to be better than I was the day before.
That's it. And instead of why is this happening to me? Okay, why is this happening for me?
Yes.
What can I do?
Yeah.
What am I looking at? I love, this is another kind of thought is, you're meant to overcome every obstacle until you don't.
Right.
And that ain't today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're literally built for it, man. Yeah. Like you've been through the trenches, you've been through your trials and tribulations of your life, but you're here. Therefore you're stronger than those, and you were made to do it, until you get to the point where the finally obstacle gets you out of this life, and then, see you in the next one.
Yeah. You're such a spiritual, intellectual individual. And does that come from studying and or circumstance, or how, like, where does that?
I think it's like, all of, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, like, it's as I grow and as I get older, I'm finding myself like, maybe 5 years ago in my free time, I'd want to sit down and watch a movie, but now I'm sitting down and I'm reading a book in 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I was having a conversation with one of the guys I do music with. He's a little older than me, and he's 37. And we were talking about how, both of us obviously we're out of that phase of the early 20s where you want to go and party and have a good time. And, I just kind of want to learn new things. I want to, like, we were talking about, like, we could do this and we could film it and it could just be fun, but it's like, I want to take a cooking class. I want to learn pottery. I just want to go do things. I want to pick up a book and learn something that I didn't know before. And so, like, he's right now he's doing, he just got certified in cybersecurity, but he was in the military. And then he did music for 10 years, and now he's doing cybersecurity. And he's like, there's there's so many people who they feel like, there's people I know that I graduated high school with, they're like, oh, I'm 28, I never went to college, it's too late for me now. And we know, like, you can live a lot of lives in your one life.
I mean, absolutely. Well, another quote that I really love is, whether believe you can or you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
If you do think that, your years are past you and you can't do it, yeah. But that's your limitation. That's your own governor on your engine, right?
Right.
Because I get it. I totally get that perspective. Mm-hmm. I force myself the opposite way. That was another thing that when I went through that kind of health scare, your brain wants to kill you for some reason. Mm. Like your brain will feed you all that negative stuff that can depress you or suppress you in some way, shape, or form. And I noticed those thoughts. And so what I started doing was, okay, it's not fair to have just that voice in my mind.
Right.
The opposite has to occur. So whatever that intrusive thought is, I'm going to do the opposite as well, because it's only fair to me.
Sure.
And once you at least, once you like kind of neutralize that negativity, then you can actually like have it's almost like you're like on a hill and you can look around from that point.
Right.
Like you just like, yes, we have the line of good and evil runs through the heart of every human being, right? Like we have both of these like energies within us.
Yeah.
It's just, which one are you feeding? Like what kindling on what fire are you tending to?
There's a lot of people, and I think we can all be that at times, but like when those bad thoughts or those bad moments come in, it's easy to wallow in it because you feel like you don't have any choice but to. And
you want to feel justified in your feeling.
Right. Yeah.
But do you need to feel justified in your feeling? But okay. So there's the opposite of that is live within the truth of your actions. Mm-hmm. So if you did something bad and you're feeling that because your conscious is speaking to you, then live in that truth.
Yeah.
Figure out how to change it. But also, if that's not your truth, man, no, get that out of here. It's not serving you.
Yeah. I think it's easy to not want to live in the which I don't know the right way to say it is, like, but you don't want to live in that inconvenience of growth sometimes.
Yeah, dude.
But
sure.
I like to be uncomfortable. Yeah. I want to make myself uncomfortable. I want to grow. I just want to be, like I said earlier, better than I was the day before. Yep. And that's like kind of the phase of life that I'm in now. And I'm picking up a lot of the books I'm reading are autobiographies from so many different people, whether it's politicians or actors or I read theology books. You can grab knowledge from people from different walks of life that you might, you said you're not religious, but like, you can grab from these theology books, you can grab from everybody. Mm-hmm. And that's the phase I'm in. And it's been a really interesting journey of just, self-development.
Yeah, man. And it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I really love about acting or any art form or any practice is a process is forever. Mm-hmm. And that idea of like Tiger Woods or Michael Jordan or whoever, LeBron, nobody's not practicing.
Right.
Everybody's practicing. Mm-hmm. Everybody's doing what they do to the best of their ability daily. And the growth and discomfort, like I just go to the metaphor of being to the gym. Like, yeah, dude, it's not fun.
Who likes that?
Who likes that? Who likes feeling that like that wall that you're coming up against and then you have to push up against? Like nobody loves that, but once you do it, you love that.
Right.
And you need that.
Yeah. So you have the Big Cigar out, and I just want to, make sure people are watching that. So take me through that journey. Well, like how did that, when you got, because you're playing a real person, mm-hmm. Dennis Hopper, when that came across your desk, was he somebody you were familiar with? 'Cause I know you study film. So like how excited were you to see that name?
Yeah. So I knew of Dennis Hopper. I wasn't too familiar with everything that he had done. Mm-hmm. And so when I first got it was a project and these actors that were attached. Every time I get a project like that, I'm like, all right, well, let's put in the work. Mm-hmm. In the back of my mind, I'm like, never going to get it, but do it. Make it a hard decision for him.
Yeah.
And so I just literally, I knew it was 1971 was the original timeline, 71 to 74. And so I just went and looked at all the interviews from that time frame. It was Easy Rider days. So they really kind of wanted that energy of Hopper. And at that point, he was very much, he was on his indulgence wave.
Okay.
Is what we'll say like that. Yeah. And, observed as much as I could. He did this, he recited Kipling's poem, If. And so I would just listen to it, go over it. And I auditioned, forgot about it, told my friend, no, I just auditioned for this. Don't tell anybody because I'm not going to get it. But it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then my manager called me and was like, Don Cheadle wants to see a callback. I was like, oh my God.
And that's a bit, Don Cheadle wants to see you.
That was one of those moments where my whole body just flexed.
Yeah.
I was just like, yes. There's those moments. I'll get done with an audition or get done with a callback or something where you're just like, that went exactly the way it felt good.
Right.
It felt good.
Right.
So I got that, and I was away, traveling to California, did the callback. No, I'm sorry. The original audition was in Callback. I did the callback in my office and sent it in on the anniversary of his death, ironically. And,
all comes back to universe.
That's kind of how I feel it. Cause I was literally at that point broke, like real broke, like selling my $5 worth of Dogecoin broke. And so I was just in my office, praying, all right, man, God, if this ain't my path, you need to get me off it, man, because I'm done. I don't want to do this. If this is what this is, if there's a new situation, let's go do it. Mm-hmm. Put me there. And literally the lowest of lows and some personal stuff happening and just financial, it was just ugh. And on Sunday I got a call and just said she booked it. And I literally that day needed it.
Yeah.
And man, just went hard.
Yeah.
Watched every movie from birth up until that point. Read every article. Listened to as many interviews, and they did a documentary at that point called The American Dreamer out in house. I watched that as well. Just dove deep because I knew there's a huge responsibility when you're playing a real person.
Was this your first time playing a real person?
I think it was. I'd have to go back and check, but I think it was.
That's the proof of an actor who's done a lot of work. He's I don't remember every role.
That, and there's also for me, when I'm done with the role, I forget it.
Yeah, I think that's healthy.
It's like closing my tabs in my brain because I will go back and replay things in my mind, and it doesn't serve me.
That was something I learned about myself early on. One of aside from a couple commercials, the first big job I had was actually regional theater. I did a production of The Full Monty, 3 months long, and I loved every second of it. It was one of those things where we did weekday matinees. So I'm getting taken out of school. I'm going to do the work, and I just love acting. And when it ended, it was almost like a mourning.
Yeah.
I just missed being with that group of people. True. And that was a moment I realized when I'm done with something, I just need to leave it there. Mm-hmm. And that's a process. You have to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
But I could definitely identify with that.
There's the letting go of the project and that type of stuff. And the cool part about it is you can, it's almost as if you guys are all reading a book together, and then when the book's done, everybody throws the book away, but we're all still sitting next to each other.
Yeah.
And that's what I really like is the relationships, because I can come back to Georgia and see some friends, and I've got friends all around the U.S. I would do my early 20s was doing road trips all the time, and I would have cats all over the U.S. that I could go and stay with, cowboys that I had worked with in New Mexico, dancers that lived in Baltimore that I could go crash with. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Because yes, it becomes very much kind of like a family.
Mm-hmm.
And then your family's got to go on work on different projects.
Yeah.
But when you guys all happen to be in the same spot again, it feels good.
Like that time has passed.
Exactly.
I think that's a beautiful thing about this industry. It's been back in the day when we were still going in the rooms to audition. You meet other actors, and everybody has different feelings on how you're supposed to appropriately behave in a waiting room.
Sure.
You have the actors who might try to distract you.
You just like go and flex in front of people, right?
That's
this is my role.
There were some times when I was living in LA, going in auditioning, where I could tell what an actor was doing, but it was funny.
Yeah.
And you become friends with them, and then you just you see them and see them succeed, and that's actually been a conversation. It can show the immaturity of people when I'm asked this. They're like, all right, well, you have your friend Chris has done some major things. This friend has done this, and you're just still kind of grinding it out. Aren't you jealous? Never once. Yeah. Never once have I been jealous. I'm not the type of person. I see your success and anybody else's success, and I just can't be happier. And I'm lucky in this situation, because it's everybody I know who has found success deserves it.
That's awesome. And I always the thing that I love these just different phrases, and I share them all the time because they mean something to me. I choose inspiration over intimidation. Mm-hmm. Like everybody's got a different path. If I looked at Ed Sheeran and was like, I wish I was there right now. It's like, no, man, we're like, everybody's got a different path. Yep. Everybody's got a different part to play in this. And like, I think again, like what you're saying at the beginning of, are you trying to be better than the day before? Mm. Then that's kind of the goal.
Yeah.
That's kind of the goal.
Yeah.
It's a slow and steady wins the race. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
Absolutely. You have Big Cigar out now.
Yeah.
What's next?
That's a good question. Like current, nothing is officially up next.
Okay.
Auditioning, it's kind of slow in the industry right now.
Mm-hmm. Especially summertime.
Yeah. So literally what's next is when I get back, I'm finishing up this demo and I have to get one more shot to do a music video to. It's the song that I wrote, my wife for our wedding. Mm-hmm. And so that's my next kind of creative project. Yeah. There might be something happening next month with my buddy that I talked to you about. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I am satisfied within the process of it.
Yeah.
I've got plenty of things happening in the next couple months. And if nothing's happening in June and July, then I'm going camping. I'm going to be in nature for a couple days and just enjoying that.
Sure.
So, I think, this is the Big Cigar was the last thing that I kind of had in the hopper to come out. No pun intended.
Are we still getting the Zero Contact sequels?
We're going to find out. Yeah. It's supposed to be next year.
Okay.
Like that whole thing kind of got derailed a little bit during COVID, and then
the strikes.
Right after COVID, and the strikes. And it was just like,
I just remember, because I don't fully understand Zero Contact. I understand the movie.
Yeah.
But it was the first, what's it called?
NFT.
The first NFT film. I don't know what an NFT is. I tried to understand it. My brain doesn't work that way. But
it's like the best way I feel I can grasp it is like a digital Pokemon card. Like there's limited amount of these, but it's digital. It's like
but that was Anthony Hopkins' son.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
That's amazing.
It's wild.
But I remember seeing you, I think it was after the film had technically came out, so I guess maybe you're doing press, but I thought that you were shooting the sequels already when you were in Iceland?
Antarctica,
yeah.
And we were. So we flew to Antarctica to essentially do exterior shots and a couple dialogue moments, but it was mostly like B-roll type stuff and some like a production type trip. Mm-hmm. And then we were going to break for the holidays and come back. And, what had happened was there was some funding that ended up not coming through for that.
Yeah.
And so they had to restructure, you lose people because of conflicts and stuff like that. So realistically, then the strikes hit. And so my producer had to kind of get some other projects done and get some stuff kind of out the door, so that they can make room and space.
Yeah, I thought the concept for Zero Contact was very original. It was different, and it was the world building that was happening in that first film made me really excited to see what could be next and how big it could get.
Yeah,
because it was very interesting.
And it is the intention is to go very big.
Yeah.
And so we'll leave it at that, because the way that thing happened was my buddy called me and was like, "Hey, you want to do a movie?" Absolutely. It's going to be a little weird. You got it. No worries. It's the middle of a pandemic. Let's have some fun. No money up front, just points in the back end. See where it goes.
Yeah. And what was shooting that like? Because I saw some behind the scenes of it. It was like they send cameras to everybody to kind of like how it was Zoom.
Nope. Well, yeah. So kind of. So we're all on Zoom. So you've got the directors, producers. The actors never worked with each other.
Right.
So let that be known. Because we were all in different countries, cities, whatever time zones. I'll speak from my experience. My wife's a photographer. She has a Canon. And so every actor was in charge of lighting. We had our camera department on Zoom, so he could be like, put the white sheet of paper over that, or like maybe tilt it that way a little bit. Okay, cool. That looks great. Mm-hmm. So we had to be in charge of manipulating lighting. I was doing sound on like a Lav, and then also on Logic. Yeah, with a nice mic. We were in charge of set deck. We were in charge of wardrobe. Yeah, and I got that. I'm essentially one of the leads of the movie, and I maybe had 3 days or 4 days.
Wow!
From the time I got the script to the time we shot.
Yeah.
And my producers, they wanted to do it like the next day or the day after. I was like, dude, we can just like, 1 second, man.
Slow it down,
please. Can I get like 4 days? And of course, he was fine with that. But man, it was an experiment that turned out, obviously, again, better than I could have ever anticipated. Yeah. So again, it's one of those things. My homie calls me up. You want to do something? Absolutely, I want to do something. Yeah. Like, let's do it, whatever it is.
Yeah, I love anytime you have something come out, because I'm just the guy that wants to support everybody that I care about, and it brings me joy seeing the success, and I'm excited to see what comes next. I've been enjoying the Big Cigar. I'm an episode behind. I gotta catch up. Yeah, he's got to watch it. He hasn't seen it. He's always talking to me about. He's like, my wife and I is just Apple TV is the best. It's the best streaming site. So cast him in something else, Apple TV. But no, man. Thank you so much for doing this. Yeah, right. I really appreciate you. Is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want to say before we get out of here?
I think more than anything, if you're looking to kind of embark on the path of being an actor, or if you're an actor, you want some help with coachings and stuff like that, feel free to hit me up. I have a website out. Other than that, man, just stay tuned. If you have some music's going to be coming out, stuff like that, that's really about it. Just stay tuned, I guess.
We got to work together. I got something for you.
Hit me up.
Thank you, brother.